Hello, I'm ShieldWar100 and welcome to my channel and my gaming room for my first inaugural game of Bot War on the channel. I've finally got some models for this game. I've had my eye semi on it for a while and then saw them at a show and decided to pick them up and give it a whirl. And I've not been very disappointed. It's a good fun game, and been playing it down my local games club, and so I thought it was worth giving them an outing on the channel to show you guys and gals exactly what we're on about around here. Right, so this is, as you can see, I've set up a board for myself. I'll be playing the Ruby Crystals scenario, and the the narrative in my mind is that this is a city that's just suffered greatly in the bot war, ongoing conflict between the democracy, the Atlanticans, or possibly the Coils, or all three, no doubt, have taken its toll on the infrastructure, as you can see, due to the condition of several of the buildings here. And just to make their misery worse, a convoy of was flying over the air and got shot down, and has distributed a deposit of ruby crystals throughout the area. Now this has attracted the attention of the Infesters, a fairly feral group of evil robots, or evil bots, should we say? And yes, the Valiants have dispatched themselves, a force of themselves, shall we say, to stop them and to prevent the crystals falling into the wrong hands. Okay, that's enough of that, I think, for now. I'm going to get on and just give you a quick look at which models are in each of the sides today. So when a deceiver bot gets destroyed one too many times and has to be downloaded again into a new body, corruptions in its code can cause them to become an infester instead. And this is the faction I'm going with. They're a relatively feral set of bots, and yes, very much on the baddie side. They just follow the energy to consume it, really. And yes, as you can, this is their faction. I quite like the paint scheme, so that's why I went with them, really. Yes, you got in the middle the gigantic centipede looking thing is called the maggot, and the two tiny little ones in front of him are two larvae, which the maggot and the larvae tunnel up from under the ground, the maggot carrying the larvae. And it's a bit of a beast in combat of all types, really, mostly short range, but there you go. And so it will be tunneling up at some point during the course of the game. I'm not sure exactly when myself, but from left to right, if I'll just give you the names of the 6 remaining bots there on the Infester side, you've got the beetle. So from left to right, as I said, you've got the beetle, the termite, the weevil, the mantis just past the maggot there, the locust at the front, and then finally the roach. Okay, and they all do slightly different things, variations on a theme. Okay, anyway, so that's the Infesters. I'm looking forward to seeing how they perform. And here are the Valiants in use today. Very individual colour schemes, as befitting their, their faction type. I guess they're all individual personalities, as opposed to the Infesters, who are kind of more uniform. Right, so it's a group of bots, all do slightly different things. Some of them greater emphasis on range, some are just generally tougher, and of course, as you can see, bigger than the others. And it makes for a rather interesting, diverse faction. You can mix it up, a fair bit each time. But yeah, there we are. Just going to give you the names of these bots in case you're interested. Starting again from left to right, we've got Cold Start in blue there, and just at the back behind him, Iron Skin. Moving to the front, the slightly smaller one is Herbs, and then in the center, the gigantic white bot there is Ducal, the sort of preeminent, very powerful bot for this particular game. Do like the model though, love him. And moving back to the front, the little diminutive one with the sniper rifle is RJ. The guy in red there is Code Red, and finally in yellow on the far right, Traffic Stop. And looking forward to again getting these bots on the board. See let's twist some metal. Okay, I've deployed. I've set up the energy cubes for the first set of activations, and I'm just about ready to go. Just go through deployment. So as you can see, the Infesters have chosen this side. Everyone gets to deploy up to 5 inches on their board edge in this scenario, so the Infesters are over here and the Valiants are over there. Okay, the termite on the infestors side, not the investors side, has advanced deployment, so can go a bit further forward. The ruby crystals are represented by these red tiddlywinks on various places of the board. And one over there. As you can see, one is on top of a building, which the infestor side decided to put cleverly up there, because it then enables them to fly up there with air support. So yeah, that's pretty good for them. They've got fly ability on most of their models, so they'll be able to make use of that one. The objective is to basically each of these crystals can be harvested once per game for additional energy cubes at the beginning of a given turn. Once the crystal has been harvested, it is picked up and removed from the board and will give a random amount of extra energy to be used that particular turn. Okay, whoever harvests the most energy from these cubes across the course of the game will win. Okay, the last cube left on the board, wherever it may be, last energy crystal, should I say, on the board, sorry, will remain in place though, no matter how many times it is harvested. And to harvest it, a friendly bot has to be within 2 inches of it at the beginning of a turn, and no enemies. Okay, so if it's contested, then no one gets to harvest it, and the last crystal on the board will remain forever. So so even if all the others are picked up, you can still get some energy that way. Alternatively, if one side wipes out the other before turn 8 is the end of the game regardless, and then that team will win if they wipe out their opponents, of course. So if you're hopelessly behind, get doing damage. Okay, so notably the maggot is off the board. It's not joining us yet. It will be rolling randomly to turn up with its larvae as of turn number 2 onwards. It may never show up, we just don't know. Right, that's basically it. I'm going to get into the activations. I'm not going to go into a full rules breakdown of how this game works or anything. I might do a video covering that separately. It may already be out. I'm not sure how my upload schedule is going to be, but yeah, it's going to be a fun one. I'm looking forward to just recounting. I'm going to do a few activations at a time is the plan. We shall see how it goes. Back in just a minute. Okay, I've done the first few activations in turn number 1. First of all, the Locust engaged air support using a couple of energy cubes and move forward here to contest this ruby crystal. Still going with the Infestors, the turn sequence, well, the move sequence being a little bit interesting in Bot Wars. It's done on like individual bot initiative rather than any set choice of who goes first by any side. That's why that's why team building in this is so important. The termite used 2 activations to move forwards into the ruins there to contest the another ruby crystal, foregoing the opportunity to shoot. It's looking like the Infestors are really trying to peg back the overall slower Valiants crew to try to stop them from being able to score, maybe dictate which of the ruby crystals gets left on the board at the end, so that the Infestors can try and clear up. They're making use of their superior movement in order to do that, is the idea. Iron Skin was the first bot to go for the Valiants and had to use both of his energy cubes he was allotted to move twice, once after the other, just to stop this ruby crystal being farmed by the Locust here. Couldn't do any offensive actions. In fact, neither side has done anything offensive against the others yet. Just some very provocative moves. Okay, so I'm going to do a few more moves and report back. Well, having said nothing was being done offensively, we put that to rights. Who's this? This is the Beetle, activated next. He was back here. He's used 2 of his energy cubes to do air support and landed up next to this ruby crystal up here, and then which damages the building incidentally, just landing on it. And then used his remaining one to shoot at who's this? Cold Start. Yes, and did a particularly nasty round of damage using his surge using his surge shooting ability there, and actually knocked Cold Start down to 1 remaining hit point in one round, in just one long range shot. Oof. So that's pretty scary for the Valiant right there. The 2 Valiants went next, starting with RJ back here. She has the sniper rifle and she used it to great effect. Had 2 energy cubes, used both to do individual shots using her sniper ability, and actually knocked the first shot knocked the Beetle down to 2 points of life remaining, and the last one took him down to 1 point of life remaining. So he got quite fortunate overall on that last shot. So yeah, nice. So both sides causing huge damage to each other now. And right, finally Herb's moved up. Has the efficient rule's pretty handy for him, means you don't have to invest too heavily into his moves, but he's quite a modest character himself in terms of his capabilities. He moved up to contest his Ruby Crystal, not going to let the Infesters get it too easily, and yeah, had a shot at the Termite. So unfortunately, with the cover endemic from being in the ruins, he did not manage to cause any damage to the larger bot. The way I'm treating the ruins is I've taken a leaf out of the rules for water, because there's no real, you just got to make something up to be representative. But ruins take -3 inches off of a bot's move to move into them at any given point. No penalty once you're inside. It's just when you're shooting from outside of ruins into them, you get the target counts as being in cover. I'm trying to keep it pretty simple. Okay, and that's it for the rules for the buildings. Okay, right, that's 3 more bots done. I'm gonna carry on. See, let's see what happens next. Okay, yep, here we are. The 2 more Infesters. This is the Weevil, and I think that's the Roach there. Yes, have flitted forward from different sides of the board towards this central energy Ruby Crystal here to hope, to stake the Infestors' claim upon it. That's their activation done. Oh, so the Roach did open fire on RJ at the back, causing 1 point of damage, despite being a long-range shot and RJ being obscure due to her diminutive stature. Still got 1 point of damage through, and she's not a particularly powerful bot there, so yeah, she can't take too many hits, but only 1 point of damage for now. Finally, what's his name? Oh yes, Traffic Stop, the yellow guy at the back, lined up a single overcharged shot at the Termite. Took Inspiring Presence from Ducal being close by, and did 3 points of damage in 1 shot. The Termite did actually boost his shield ability with his remaining energy cube, and but even so, it was not enough. Took a hefty hit there, a solid thump, shall we say. Right, carrying on. Hi, a slight mistake with the naming convention, sorry. It was actually the Locust who moved up here last activation. The Roach moved now and was back here. It's actually apparently the most cowardly of all the Infesters, so has moved here out of line of sight, clearly leaving this Ruby Crystal to be harvested perhaps later, is the idea, maybe leaving it at the end in the back of the board so the slower Valiants have a difficulty reaching it. And then the Infestors can just harvest it. But yes, after that was done, it was just Valiant time, and boy did they clean up. First of all, Cold Start activated, opened fire, and took revenge on the Beetle, ending the Infestor bot's attack by taking it out straight away now. So there you go, this one is off the board. Yeah, it took its last point of damage. Then Cold Start moved up. Okay, and between Code Red and Ducal, they both opened fire on the Termite, destroying it completely despite being in cover. These 2 bots being really good at shooting anyway, and then they moved up the board as well. So that concludes this turn's activations. We've seen a couple of Infestors dead already. The Valiants really do have the advantage until the Maggot turns up, because that is a heavy piece of equipment that's currently off the board for the Infestors. So yeah, but the Infestors nonetheless trying to reach their objectives, and get some energy, in the beginning of the game anyway. So right, well, we'll see how that pans out for them in turn number 2, which I'll come to in just a moment. Turn 2 begins, and with a kaiju-like roar, the Maggot erupted from the ground and has joined the fray in the middle of the board, but still fairly central. It's placed enough so it can go either direction as the needs arise. Okay, right. So both this energy crystal and this ruby crystal, shall I say, were harvested for 2 points for the Valiants and 1 point for the Infesters respectively. The others are either contested or no one's near them to get them at this point. Okay, right, that's that. Let's get on with some activations. We've got different mixtures of bots now on the board, so the turn sequence may have changed. Well, will have changed a little bit, so let's see how it goes. Well, the Mantis and Iron Skin in the shadow of this residential building went at it over control of this ruby crystal. Both the Mantis went first for the Infesters and moved straight into combat with the Valiant bot, charged up its attack with its 2 combat scimitars and did a whopping 6 points of damage on the Iron Skin there. Despite Iron Skin's reroll on his defense, yes, that was a hefty attack, and any bot on the Valiant side except for Ducal, the big guy, would have been torn in 2 by that, but Iron Skin's still there on 1 remaining point of hit, 1 remaining hit point. Striking back, the Valiant bot did a close combat attack to push away the Locust, the Mantis here, doing a point of damage and hitting him back, and then opened fire, overcharging his shot, causing 2 further points of damage on the Infester. So yes, both sides here taking hefty damage over this objective, but neither side bowing yet. But it's not looking good for the Valiants overall, because the Locust will go before Iron Skin all the time, and like I said, Iron Skin's only got 1 hit point left. We'll see how that goes. Next happened was Herbs activated, just moved around the corner, being kind of unobtrusive, opened fire on Weevil but did no damage. His shot went wide. Well, RJ heard Iron Skin's call for aid, and because her line of sight was actually blocked by Code Red and Ducal anyway, she used 1 energy cube to move into the ruins here, and another one to line up a sniper round on the Mantis, who'd just been pushed back off of her fellow Valiant. She got a clean headshot and destroyed the Infester with a well-placed round of her sniper rifle, and that concludes her activation for the turn. 2 Infesters went next. First of all, the Locust moved into close combat with Code Red. He's too dangerous to be left not being able to shoot, and the Locust here has the pugilist ability, so he gets a bonus in close combat anyway. Did 2 points of damage, no, 1 point of damage, yes, 1 point of damage to the Valiant. Code Red actually used some of his energy to up his defense dice, so had to burn a bit of his energy to do that, but worth it, because he's not a particularly well defended Valiant in the first place. And then the Weevil moved here and finished off cold start by finishing off the last point of damage on the Autobot. Valiant, sorry, legally distinct, with his shooting there, and that concludes his activation. Unable to resist the challenge and the desire to be placed more centrally, of course, the Maggot activated Armoured Might to charge itself, obviously powering up its close combat, its shooting attacks and its shields, and rumbled round the corner and opened fire on Ducal, scoring 3 points of damage against the heavily shielded bot Valiant leader there. Then for his part, Traffic Stop moved up and lined up a good shot against the Weevil, doing 3 points of damage to the Infester, despite the Infester being in cover. And to round off this set of activations, the 2 larvae erupted from the Maggot's body and engaged Ducal in close combat, the outnumbering really helping, but both together only causing 1 point of damage on the highly skilled Valiant leader, shall we say. He's got a combat shield and a sword, so he's very difficult to damage, but through weight of numbers, a point of damage did get through, so they're whittling him down. He's nearly at half life, but there's still some Valiants to go, and we're going to see how the turn continues. Well, the Roach engaged air support mode in order to fly to the top of this building, because climbing is for wussies, and putting more strain on the infrastructure of the building, but it will claim this ruby crystal for the Infesters, and keeps the roach out of harm's way, which is the roach's favourite thing right now. Code Red attempted multiple times to throw off the Locust who's in combat with him, but he's not particularly strong in close combat, is old Code Red. And even with using the Inspiring Presence reroll of Ducal there, it was not enough to do damage and push him back for a devastating shot afterwards. So, yep. No, unfortunately Code Red did not manage to cause any damage there. A bit of a waste of his turn. Ducal, on the other hand, used his energy cubes to dispatch the 2 larvae in combat with him, very simply and straightforwardly. Yeah, they're not powerful. They're just there to weigh people down with numbers and be cheap. And yes, so the smoke clears after that damage, and he is facing down the maggot. Both crew's most powerful models, but yes, the maggot is very much a dangerous entity though. But so is Ducal, and that's the end of turn 2's activations. We're going to go into turn 3, and I'll catch up in just a sec. Right, just done the start of turn 3. This ruby crystal has been picked up to give 1 additional power energy cube to the Infesters, and this one here has been picked up to give 1 energy cube to give 0 energy cubes, sorry, to the Valiants. That leaves just this one at the back here, well, at the back in turn, if you're the Infesters player that is, to be harvested for the remaining turns of the game. But yeah, it's only turn 3 now. We've had quite a lot of death and destruction, so I'm not sure how much harvesting this one will be worth, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, we shall see how it goes. Both crews very much in the mix. Generally speaking, yeah, the Valiants will be going first with some models, and then a bunch of Infesters, and then the Valiants will finish off with their most powerful ones. But we shall see how it goes and who gets thrown into the head basket first. Bit of a bag of nails there for the first set of Valiants to activate. First of all, Ironskin rounded the corner, charged up a shot and unleashed it at the maggot, but due to the maggot's Armoured Might ability, he only got 1 point of damage through after all was said and done, so not so good. Herb there overcharged a shot at the Weevil but caused no damage. He's not, like I said, not particularly powerful bot, but you would hope for something given the fact that offensive attacks are meant to be well, the offensive dice are more powerful than the defensive ones, so, but oh well, never mind, didn't happen. Doesn't always happen, and it didn't happen again. RJ opened fire with an overcharged shot against the maggot at close range, but did no damage again. The sniper rifle doesn't get its full sniper abilities at short range shots, but nonetheless was able to overcharge and didn't get anything for it. I guess that's the break sometimes. You can't odds the dice. Oh goodness gracious me, what a set of activations. Well, first of all, the Locust here punched Code Red in 1 round of combat into destruction, but put his pugilist fist through Code Red's chest plate, and the Valiant bot was destroyed. Then used his remaining action, he's in activation, to move into close combat with Ducal, who was next to him. Moving back over here, the Weevil opened fire on what's his name? Sorry, Traffic Stop, who was over just here at the time. Did 2 rounds of close two shots. The first one supercharged, and got through both times, causing a total of 3 points of damage. But more importantly, because of his mind control trait, he was able to reduce the shield value on the Valiant bot by 1 per hit. Well, due to dice rolls and things. So the Valiant bot is only on shield value 1 now, down from 3. So that's going to affect the number of defense dice he rolls for the remainder of the game, leaving this Valiant not only damaged but in a very precarious position. For his part, Traffic Stop moved up and opened fire back on the Weevil. A shot that could easily have ended the Infestor there and then, but didn't. Did only 1 point of damage after all said and done. The dice seeming to have deserted the Valiants this particular turn, and that was proven once again in spectacular fashion when the maggot activated the mighty 4 energy cubes in his stock, spent 2 of them to maintain Armoured Might, used another one to rumble into close combat with Ducal, and yes, the final one to initiate a close combat attack, which finished off Ducal in spectacular fashion. The now outnumbered Valiant leader taking a whopping 6 points of damage in 8 points of damage in one attack, I think. Even even despite having powered up his defense, despite having a combat shield and the combat sword, it just did not happen, and Ducal will need to be re-downloaded, and we'll see how that goes for him. Okay, and that concludes this set of activations. Just not too much left to portray, but I think it's just the Roach to go. So do him, do her, shall I say, get back to you in just a sec. Yes, the Roach just jumped down off this building to scurry back towards this last ruby crystal here, keeping the objective firmly in mind for the Infester coward. And yeah, that concludes this round's activations. It's not looking good for the Valiants, let's put it that way. Despite the fact that it's 4 bots aside, the Valiants are largely damaged, or just quite weak to begin with, looking at you, Herbs. Versus some variously damaged but still very functional Infesters who, yes, but both sides are currently on 2 energy cubes apiece scored from ruby crystals, so now it's just a case of going into turn 4, and yeah, we'll see if the Infesters can continue to turn the screw, or will there be some sort of change up. Okay, so turn 4, I've allocated the energy cubes to the few remaining bots and worked out what order who's going in what order. Right, ready to get onto it. Neither side harvested any crystals this turn. There's just this one here, and Roach is eagerly rubbing its little hands trying to get to it. So let's get on to activations for turn 4. Again, this turn had 3 Valiant bots going first, because they'd managed to destroy all the preceding Infesters. So, right, let's see who went up first. Yes, it was Ironskin who opened fire with a charged up shot on Maggot, doing 1 measly point of damage. That Armoured Might ability really coming in handy for the Infesters. Big guy, and he then moved over here, and that's that for his activation. He's done. Then Herbs opened fire with a charged up shot on Weevil, finishing off the Infester bot, and then moved up. So yeah, that's finally got this one out of the way, the bloody mind control guy. Yeah. And then finally RJ had 1 cube. I only gave her 1 cube, and she used it to open fire on the Maggot and did 2 points of damage, just showing that you never really can tell where the damage is going to come from, or how the dice are going to come up. So the Maggot is reduced now to 3 points of hit points, shall I say, remaining, and that's him done. Well, these 3 Valiants done. Time now to move on to some other bots. Oof, and it's done. It's done. Yes, the Locust here managed to destroy the still rattled by mind control quick start with a supercharged shot. The Maggot burnt RJ out of the cover there, easy peasy lemon squeezy, and even had a shot at Ironskin which came to nothing. But finally, yes, the Roach opened fire and finished off the final Valiant on the table, leaving the Infesters in control of the board and the ruby crystals. So there you go. That concludes ruby crystals. I think, yes, it was definitely a one of the themes in the first series of the original Transformers cartoon as well. There were ruby crystals in a mine, I think. Yes, and yeah, so there you go. Whew. There you have it, gentlemen and ladies. Yes, the Infesters have it this time, which is interesting. I think I misplayed the Valiants a little bit. I got rather too cocky with them, because in all the practice games so far, the Valiants have been able to kind of pick apart the Infesters before the Maggot arrives. The Maggot usually arrives on turn 3 or 4, and by then there's only spare parts left over of the remainders of the Infesters, and that's definitely lulled me into a false sense of security. I think the Infester play to push up the board early to contest all the Valiant, all of the ruby crystals was a good idea, if I say so myself. And yeah, that would have led, if the longer the game went on, the advantage would definitely have sat with the Infesters. But yeah, that was a fun game. Oh no, sorry, I forgot, Herbs is still here, but never mind, I'm not going to count him. He is insignificant enough that he's just going to make himself excused. I don't think he'd be able to take on the 3 remaining Infesters anyway, so yeah, I'm going to call it regardless. Sorry, forgot Herbs. not my mistake, sorry about that. But hope you guys don't mind. Yeah, it's not fighting to the death. It seems a bit silly anyway in these circumstances. Yeah. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed watching this game. Bot War is a good, fun little one to get out. I had lots of fun playing it, you know, with friends and things down the games club, and I hope to continue on. I've still got another faction or so still to come. You know, got another couple painted already as well. So plenty of variation for me. If you like this game and you'd like to see me do more games of it, please let me know by commenting, you know, and telling me so, because it's quite fun. And yeah, it's not such an onerous job to film as, say, a Batman game, where there's a lot of reading to keep track of and movement and very much interplay and all that sort of hoo-ha. And it's certainly not as difficult and time-consuming to set up as an Ancients game or World War II. So yeah, I do like this one. It may well grace the channel regardless of feedback, because it's a nice easy one to shoot out there. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I hope you guys did too. It's a fun game. If you get a chance, take a look at it. Bot War, you know, by Traders Galaxy is the name of the operation that makes this. And yeah, hope you will rejoin me for more games on my channel, be it Bot War, be it Batman, be it something else. I've got plenty to choose from. Okay, well, hope you guys all have a great fun time, and I'll see you around. Take care. Bye bye.